Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
He's alive!
Welcome to Where the Weird Ones Are.
Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out.
Powerful figures in Hollywood as well as powerful politicians who are in fact not human. They're reptiles or they're lizards or perhaps extraterrestrials.
I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
Let's get weird.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that. And if you didn't, now you do. Today's episode is with Jeez, man. It is with the unknown paranormal. That is Phil, Christy, and Mike. They are actually family. Mike and Christy are married, and Phil is Christy's brother. They have a shit ton of stories to tell. We got into UFOs, and Phil got really excited, which I got excited. And I might have to have them come back on to talk about UFOs and aliens. Because, I mean, aliens, dude. Come on now. So, anyways, if you are not following them, fucking go follow them. They got some good shit. Get on their YouTube. Yeah, they have a YouTube. I'm retarded. I'm sorry. We talked about this, and I watched their videos already. Not all of them, but, you know, there's only a certain amount of time in a day. But, no, their stories are super intriguing. I think the most intriguing story was the knock at the door that none of them heard, and the video caught it. And then a scary thing is their their possession story. So, anyways, if you're not following them, go follow them. They're the Unknown Paranormal on Instagram, YouTube. They're good friends with Jenny and Armando, Joe the Ghost Hunter, all the cool people that you've heard on this podcast. So yeah, please, I would appreciate it if you go follow them. Check out all their stuff, their evidence and whatnot. They work really hard on this stuff, and they put a lot of time and effort into everything they do. So, they would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. So, with that being said, if you want to be featured on the show, you want to talk about anything fucking weird, conspiracies, aliens, UFOs, paranormal, cryptids, spirituality, mental health, whatever it may be, hit me up at wheretheweirdonesare@gmail.com. You can follow my Instagram, where_the_weird_ones_are. I am the most active on that. Actually, it's really the only... I have a Facebook too, which is Where the Weird Ones Are. I keep forgetting that I have it, so I'm not as active on Facebook. So, anyways, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch and or listen to this podcast. It means the world to me. I'm not a professional podcaster, if you haven't guessed already. Most things that I do is I wing it, and I just put my personality out there and listen to, people's paranormal stories and their cryptid encounters, or talk about conspiracies. I love all these conversations, and this podcast allows me to have these conversations because there's not a lot of people that I encounter in my everyday life that really wants to have these conversations. So I am super grateful that Phil, Christy, and Mike came on to talk to me, and everybody else who has been on and who is coming on. So with that, I hope you enjoy this episode, and I want you to know that I am so happy you are here, and I'm talking to you. I know you probably have had feelings of not wanting to be, but I am happy you are here because you don't know the hole that you will leave behind. So, with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, a good evening, and as always, everybody, stay weird.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Weird. Get weird.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. Today I have the Unknown Paranormal team. Why don't you guys, so whoever wants to speak first, or you guys can take turns speaking, just let everybody know where they can find you, how long you've been doing this, and how you got started.
You can find us on Instagram. Within Instagram, there is a link tree ad to all of our outside links with Facebook, and I believe it's YouTube and TikTok as well. You can find us just under the Unknown Paranormal. I'm Mike, lead investigator.
Christy, investigator.
And I'm Phil, investigator.
Nice. So what got you guys started in the investigating field?
Honestly, I think it's based on each one of us having our own individual experiences from growing up.
Okay.
And of course, being 90 kids, the paranormal TV shows were on, and then COVID came around nowadays. And COVID was finally the kick in the butt. It's time to get out and do something.
Mm-hmm.
We always found ourselves very intrigued with cemeteries, as weird as that may be. This is outside of the paranormal. We were, visiting, Alberta, across Vancouver here, and cemeteries have always been a stop. Let's go check out what this one looks like. Let's go see what this one looks like. And then, like I said, COVID was the kick in the butt to, I think we can do this. We have the touch, we have the instincts. Why not give it a try and let's go out there and experiment? And that's exactly what we did. And then it was Phil and Christy who decided, let's try an Instagram thing. Let's see if what we're capturing and what we're doing is actually par with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did. And next thing you know, we were blowing up. People were interested on the way that we investigate, what we do. And here we are, dude.
Nice. So I think we've been following each other for a little bit now, but Jen from 305 was like, hey, there's this paranormal group out of Canada. You should ask them to come on. And I was like, okay, well, what's their name? And then she's like, the Unknown Paranormal. I was like, I have them on my Instagram. so so it worked out perfectly. So I asked you, and lo and behold, you guys were able to come on. So here we are today. Um, but so the experiences you guys, because I had a shit ton of experiences growing up, and that's what got me started in doing the podcast and talking to people like yourselves. So I guess so since all three of you have had experiences, I guess I'll ask the question of what was your first paranormal experience that you experienced in your life, and each one of you can take a turn on speaking on that.
For me, I think the very, very first one I had, um, and I didn't really realize it at the time until obviously I was a little older. But the very first one I had, I was laying in bed. I had a nightmare. I had woken up, heard a giggle, and I thought Christy was, she's my sister. I thought she was playing a prank on me. The blanket had gotten torn off of the bed, that I had on me, but there was nobody there. Christy was asleep in her room that was at the house with the dump truck. For me, that was the very first one I recall having.
Okay.
For me, I think, hearing faint footsteps when no one was around. But a lot of it came from when my grandfather passed away. So I'm half Portuguese, half Italian, and my family grew up very Catholic, following the church and stuff. Where I spent a lot of time at my grandmother's house. And when he passed away, I didn't have it in me to let my grandmother be by herself. So I took it upon myself to allow myself to spend a full week at grandma's and help around the house and adapt to, eventually you're going to have to be alone. And that's what it came down to. So this one particular night, grandma came and, it's time for bed and get ready. And my grandma had this thing about making us say a prayer before bed. And that was the normal, and that's what I did. So I said my prayer, said goodnight to my grandma, and she went on to her way. And here I am tucking myself into bed. As I did that, I remember calling out to my grandpa and saying, I haven't forgotten. And wherever you are, I hope you have a good night rest too. I hope things are better. And we'll talk again at another time. And I tell you, man, not shortly after I put my head down on the pillow, it felt like it was a gentleman's hand. It was a heavy hand that touched the back of my head and kind of stroked down my neck into my shoulders. And then that tug of the blanket, like the final good night, is what really, it sparked me. Yeah, it sparked me to the point where I felt that as being, I'm 32 years old, and for whatever the reason it may be, I cannot go and face that headstone. We've tried to go there as a team and say hello, and we've caught a few things. It's something we keep private, but just something about it, man, that I know he's around, I know he's there, but I can't shake the feeling. I can't stare at the headstone, as weird as it is. It's just that one thing.
Yeah.
That's always stuck with me. So that's at least one of my most favorite paranormal experiences. And it's a story that I continue to share.
Nice. So I actually have a kind of like a similar thing. So early on, I lost my great grandmother, and I was in the hospital, and ever since then I've had an issue with hospitals. And then come to find out, she's actually has been following me my entire life. So I've talked to a few mediums, and they always sense her around, and
Wow.
she's become one of my spirit guides. So
Awesome. Love it.
So I wonder if you could have you talked to a medium or anything about your grandfather?
We have, but to be honest with you, it's something that I don't. I'm not in search for it.
Okay.
I can almost sense if it's a grandparent, just for the fact of certain smells. remembering, could even be as I've had experiences of smelling like my grandma and grandpa's cooking. And then we're just sitting there watching TV. It's the weirdest thing.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's that the fact of facing my grandparents, two people who have pretty much raised me as a secondary parent, are no longer around, is just something that I wouldn't say it strikes a nerve, but it definitely leaves a soft spot where
For sure.
I'm happy that they're around and I'm happy that they're trying to make themselves present.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like even if it was by chance that they can manifest and say hello,
Yeah.
it'd almost be awkward, right?
Yeah.
So, right now with where I am, and I think there's more that I have to conquer with facing my grandparents than being able to just straight up search for it.
For sure. For sure. I can understand that. I can understand that for sure.
Yeah.
So before we get into the into your wife's, I wanted to ask Phil, were you still kind of like sleeping when the blanket got torn off of you?
It was after I had woken up. Like that's what really woke me up. I think back then, I believe it was a case of sleep paralysis,
Yeah.
except for when I woke up. I know the blanket was torn off of me,
Mm-hmm.
and but like I said, it was the middle of the night. Christy was asleep.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
for
the
me,
get
that was the very first time I experienced something paranormal.
Yeah. And the giggling sounded like a girl.
It did. It sounded like Christy was at the edge of the bed. How it was so there was the bed. I was facing towards the door. The door was open. I had thought that she was at the edge of my bed underneath because initially I felt slight tugging, which
Yeah.
is what kind of woke me up. I heard the giggle and then it just like very hard. It got ripped off of the bed. Of
Yeah.
course, I jumped up, went to look like, okay, very funny, Christy. She's not there. Walked to her bedroom. She's asleep. It just the timing. She wouldn't have had time to crawl and pretend to be asleep. Um, yeah, that's the very first time I remember
Okay,
paranormal.
so the blanket woke you up, or were you woken up before it happened? The giggle.
I had woken up during slight tugs, and I remember having a nightmare. That's when I heard the giggle. At that point, I realized, okay,
Okay.
you're not awake. And as I was waking up, the blanket got torn off of the bed.
Okay.
I thought it was Christy, but it was not. So
That's funny and scary at the same time.
I know, yeah. And actually, to be honest, for years and years, I was convinced it was Christy. And then, of course, getting a little older, getting more into the paranormal, you think to yourself, wow, that was
Yeah.
actually paranormal. You
Yeah.
get older and you start to understand it.
Yeah, that's funny. So, Chrissy, do you remember your first?
My first, I think would probably be. I've had so many. It's just ridiculous. I think maybe one of the first was maybe about 9-ish, and I was actually at a friend's house, and it was the first time you get to stay home by yourself, whether it's with a friend or alone. So you're excited, you're pumped. We're all hanging up in the bedroom, and all of a sudden we hear like crashing. We're like, what the hell was that? Okay, so we go downstairs thinking maybe the parents came home. No, every one of those cupboards were opened, all of them in her kitchen. We freak out, obviously being young. What the heck? We run back upstairs. We pick up the phone. We were going to call the parents. And, well, back then, if someone was on the other line, you were able to see by like the light, like indicating someone's on the phone downstairs.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody remembers those cool phones, but yeah. So we're like, what the heck? Someone's on the phone. So we end up going back downstairs. At this point, I'm holding a baseball bat, thinking someone's in, as if a 9-10-year-old's gonna, hit someone. It was the first thing that I saw. We go downstairs, and her parents had this old school rocking chair by the phone. It was slightly rocking, and the phone was indicating still someone was on the line.
Holy
We
cow.
tripped out. We ran out of the house. We went to the neighbors. We called 911, saying someone broke in, something's happening. 10 cop cars show up. Their parents show up. No one's in the house. No indication of any break-in. And needless to say, I wasn't allowed back over for making that fuss. It happened. We talked about it the next day. She couldn't explain it. I couldn't explain it. So I think that's probably one of the most, as a young, paranormal thing that kind of stuck with me.
Yeah. That I feel like that would stick with anybody. I mean, come on, that's like a poltergeist almost kind of
Oh,
thing, you know what I mean? Or trickster or something, and then being at 9, 10 years old, that's a fairly scary experience.
oh, it was terrifying, especially when you don't really know too much about it. Like, yeah, okay, I've watched paranormal shows that young, but to experience something like that, your brain at that age doesn't go to, oh my God, it's a ghost.
Right. Right.
So,
You're thinking more along the lines of something that's here right now.
yeah.
And that's present and physical, you know what I mean? Um,
Oh,
that's what I thought with my first ever experience that I can remember. I thought it was like actual people. So like I can totally understand the line of thinking there. So
yeah.
um what was it that I know you said COVID kind of like flipped it into gear, but what was that conversation that made you guys be like, you know what, we should start investigating?
Well, we as Mike said, we would go to cemeteries, we would snap photos, and it's always been like almost an obsession with all of us.
Right.
I mean, we would catch things that we couldn't explain on just our cell phones. We never posted it, we didn't think of it. And then, like, when COVID came around, obviously no one has anything better to do during those days.
Yeah.
Let's create a name, like, let's show people what we've captured. And I think just having those evidence from before we started advertising really helped as well. And it got us the kick in the butt that we needed, I guess.
Nice. So basically you guys were investigated unofficially is the gist that I'm gathering from what Mike has said and what you just said.
Yeah, like it all started really, dude, with just a cell phone.
Using the recorder, pictures.
We tell everybody, like, we've been approached by so many people that what does it take to become a paranormal investigator, or what do I need? And really the bottom line of it is truly all you really need is a cell phone. It has camera, it has audio recording. You can take notes strictly on your phone. And that's all we really had at that time. And going to a cemetery and taking photos of even just single photos or photos of the area that you're in, and catching images of what we think is a woman or a man, or in some of our photos that we posted was a child. Things added up that we were on the right track. And then we got more involved into actually, let's grab a spirit box and let's add to what we're finding and put a name to the face, and then post that. And then one thing led to another, and it was just, I think it's time that we do this.
Okay.
And we attacked it, and here we are. Here we are out there producing evidence that's unexplained. There's photos of apparitions that have been passed on to real photographers to be put through a system to try to debunk what we've caught. And it comes back that no, you've caught something that's unexplainable. And it's like, well, great on us, we're on the right track, so let's just keep moving. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
And to add on to what Mike is saying, we've been able to get a website up. We've had the privilege and honor of doing some house calls. We've been able to go to some historic museums and actual museums. And we're still gathering, evidence. There are locations, of course, that aren't as active or seem more residual than others. And you know, sometimes we will go to a cemetery, like Mike said, and you know, it'll be just a dead end, a bust. You know, we can't predict when activity is going to pick up, but you can
Right.
try to be respectful and try to reach out. But I mean, we're out there, we're really doing this, and I think the fact, to add on to what Mike is saying, I think the fact that we're family really helps
Mm.
out a lot. And you know, we all play our part, and yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been doing really good, and people seem to really enjoy it. And more than that, we enjoy doing it. You know, it's a hobby. It's like a passion for us. You know,
Yeah.
and it's exhilarating when we're on site and we're actually in the moment gathering evidence. When you can see or spot something that's making sense, something as simple as a spirit box, and you're having an intelligent conversation, and it's not only chatter,
Mm-hmm.
that's exhilarating. You get excited, as you probably know.
For sure.
It really is a passion.
For sure. And it probably also not only given the fact that you guys are family, but it also kind of like gives you guys a stronger bond, don't you think? Yeah. So I would assume that by now that you guys have expanded on equipment and stuff. So I would ask, what would be your favorite investigating tool now?
To be honest with you, we're not very technical on our end.
Okay.
You know, being in Vancouver, um, everything that we need to get for paranormal is out in the States or the UK, and it makes it very cost effective. It's expensive.
Yeah.
But we like to use, we do have 2 REM pods. Obviously, we have spirit boxes, but I think our favorite right now is the little cat balls that everyone's out there using.
Yeah.
But what we've done is we use the cat balls in a way where we can do a yes and no game with someone that we're communicating to.
Mm-hmm.
We've also been down to a cemetery where we've lined up about 8 or 9 of them in a straight line with a REM pod dead center. And I think somewhere in one of our laptops, we actually have video evidence of what seems to be someone actually walking through as the cat balls are lighting up.
Well, each
And
and every
then,
apple light.
yeah,
the
it
red
it was
goes
like,
off.
yeah, it was like
Wow.
instinct, with one after another. And then, you know, with that spirit box in the background going off, and we're like, oh, you know, we're all reacting. Oh, wow, like, thanks for doing that. Was that you? And then getting the response of, yes, you saw me through the spirit box, leads and opens up that investigation to, well, this is intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
We need to crack down where it was. And long story short, we actually played like a cat and mouse game of where in the cemetery the spirit was. It was guiding us to this certain spot in the cemetery where this is now where you can talk to me. This is where you're coming to. So we moved all the equipment to where the spirit wanted us to go, and we have now created a whole investigation based off one headstone.
Wow.
So, you know, right now for what we have, I think it's fun. I think the REM pod it's always cool when a REM pod goes off. But when you can tie it into the little pieces of equipment that we do have and make a story come to life in the moment, I think that's just fascinating for us.
Yeah, yeah, that's fascinating to me just to hear you talk about about it. So, were you able to pinpoint like who the spirit actually might be with the
Oh yeah,
tombstone?
we got a name come out which also matched the headstone that they led us to.
Wow, that
And that
is
gentleman's name
amazing.
is, yeah, that was William. So William came through a bunch of times, and we're thinking, okay, this is a little bit too frequent of just someone trying to tell you their name.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of went with it for a while, and we go and set up, and we like I said, we follow the spirit to this headstone. And it wasn't until reviewing evidence and actually cleaning up that area, we kind of looked up and we're like, yo, hold on a second. Like, this dude's name is William. Like, the headstone itself says William. And then you dig into the evidence, and then you brighten up the audio on this end, and you're listening to this and deleting that, and you're like, holy crap, We got a story going here.
Mm.
And it's still a story that we find ourselves we're going through bits of evidence because we're worried that there's so much of that has been missed. So even though it's there, we're going back, we're re-listening, we're going back to visit, so just to get more comfortable with William himself.
Mm-hmm.
It just sparked an interest, is what it did.
Nice.
I have a cool story for you, if I'm not interrupting.
Not at all. Go ahead, bud.
Okay, so locally we have a really cool insane asylum. It goes by Riverview Hospital. And this is one of our favorite spots to go there. And the importance of filming and recording all of your investigations this is a really good example of that. So we were at this hospital at the front door of an abandoned insane asylum. And at one point through the spirit box, it had said, I am here. And then it said, watch this. Spirit balls, cat balls went off. But we're looking at windows trying to see, oh, cool, what is it going to do? We were at the time doing the Estes method, so Mike couldn't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So Mike had out loud said, watch this. And the rest of us, we're looking at windows. And about 30 seconds goes by, and you see Mike react, like jump back. Like, what was that? We didn't know what had happened at the time, but Mike relaxed a little again after, the little session we were having.
Something kicked him. Like,
yeah, he had said something just kicked, and we're all talking like, well, we didn't hear anything. Like, what are you talking about? You look a little weird right now, but okay, let it be, right? So so in the moment we didn't hear anything, right? Now reviewing the evidence, clear as day, you can hear on video what Mike was reacting to. Nobody heard it in person, but Mike felt it. But on video, you can hear it. You can hear it sounds like someone had slammed their body against this big steel door. So we were able to hear what Mike had reacted to, what Mike felt. But in the moment, nobody heard it.
Heard it, no one reacted to it. And
yeah.
Looking at him like, what did you feel? Tell us. And he plugs the earphones back in and keeps going. And we're like, okay.
Yeah, just picture yourself like, so I'm sitting on the little flashing piece that's in front of your doorway, and behind me is a steel plate wood door, and these doors are about 8 feet tall by 4.5 feet wide, right? Insane asylum doors, padlocked, all the windows are boarded up, and I felt the impact of what felt like a 300-pound man trying to kick through that door.
Wow.
And my reaction to what Phil is saying is me reacting to, well, who the hell's coming through the door? Like, no one's even inside. And it was big enough where I jumped, like it jerked me, and I'm looking up like, what the hell? Everyone's like, what happened? What happened? The fact you couldn't hear the impact in person, but you heard it on tape is the weirdest part.
Yeah, I would say. So was the door, are you saying the door was closed and you were up against it?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So we're actually on the outside of the building. Because we can't have access. So we're actually investigating the outside. And I'm seated facing the team with the doors directly like on my back.
All right. And then you just felt like the bump against your back.
Well, it was
more than a bump, but
yeah.
Oh, you heard it. It was like, oh.
Yeah, it was wild.
That is a crazy story, man. Wow, that is super interesting. Do you have that video up, or?
We actually do have that video, and afterwards we will send it to you actually, because it was really cool.
Okay, perfect. I would love to see that. Is this, you said this is your favorite spot to go to?
One of our favorites.
One of.
We like to go. It's a park. We walk around, and just the vibe there is crazy as well. They have a garden there, which we've captured evidence on as well, and it's just a lot of history behind the whole grounds. Right?
Yeah. So, you hear like these freaky stories when it comes to like asylums and stuff like that, where you got missing people or unexplainable deaths and mistreated people and all this stuff. Do you know of any of that that revolved around this place?
A lot of mistreated people. And back then it was also, a spot where, especially for maybe young adults and kids, that if you had a disability, you would kind of get shipped there.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Like schizophrenia, for example, they
Right.
weren't very knowledgeable in the medical field.
They would
Right.
send them there because they're different. I
Yeah,
guess,
like
is
like
their-
you're crazy, you're going here, and going there, you're subject to all of this abuse back then.
You
All,
investigate paranormal? You're crazy. You're going to this insane asylum.
I guess we're going there next. Enjoy.
So have any of you seen a full body apparition or maybe even a physical?
Yes.
we've seen it, and we've also captured it on camera through picture as well.
No way.
Even before we decided to make the team like on Instagram, we were
Mhm.
going taking photos, and we've captured doctors in windows, patients. One of the old, I guess, doctors that used to work there, we got his name right on video. There's lots that we've have been able to capture there.
It's Riverview Hospital in Coquitlam, BC. It's known, to paranormal teams here locally as the gold mine of paranormal investigating. It just sucks they don't allow us to go there inside the building.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as evidence wise and browsing through other teams' time there, I think, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but we have produced quite a bit of perfect evidence just from photos. From a girl being in the window. And the way that I describe it is, you're talking about a girl that's got long hair, kind of grudge looking, wearing a white, white, like a hospital gown almost,
Mm-hmm.
standing in the window looking at you. And, a lot of people can be like, well, maybe it was a trespasser. You know what? I can side with you on that. But a rule of thumb that we use on our team is for every chance we get to take a photo, we do a method of 3 or more. So if you're going to stand in one spot and take a photo, you're taking multiples right after each other. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Well, if this is a person that was there, why isn't this person in every photo that we've taken? Why are we not seeing this person go away? Why is it only one photo, one shot, and that's that? So it is unexplainable. But I would open it up to anybody to debunk it for us, for sure.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Is this place surrounded by woods at all?
It's got its own kind of forestry, like, it is now used as a filming location, and like Christy said, it's also a park. So
Mhm.
there is trees, there is flowers, there is a forest in the back known as Finn's Garden. But really, for where this photo itself was taken is literally Christy standing about 50 feet away from the building with her camera pointed up, taking random shots. And that's literally what we were doing. And, she sat in the car and looking through her photos. You cannot help but not see it. It's there.
Right.
And like I said, it's one photo, one take, with multiple photos before and after that coincide with that moment. That why isn't it beforehand, or why isn't it thereafter?
Right. That's a good way to be. That's that in case you do capture something like you said, to have a whole reel of pictures. That way you can kind of debunk if it was an actual person. Now, is this place like kind of like falling apart on the inside? Maybe that's why people aren't allowed to go in.
It's rotting, full of asbestos. The better buildings that are used for filming, they don't want paranormal teams in there. Obviously, they're getting money for filming. So,
Right.
it'd be really cool to go inside, but it's not worth it.
But you know, the key note that everybody asks is, because it's a filming location, are you sure maybe it wasn't just someone from a filming crew, maybe a janitor, maybe?
Ooh.
But the thing is you can actually drive around these buildings. You can actually walk around these buildings. And that time that we were visiting, not one movie prop, not one movie production vehicle. I think it was about 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
And all the buildings are alarmed as well.
Yeah, and this is the 3rd floor, not a bottom floor, this is a 3rd floor.
So the roof is decaying.
Yes.
Getting up there for nothing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of scenarios that we looked into to, like, even though we're part of the paranormal, we represent our team, we have no problem with debunking our own evidence, to the point that Riverview Hospital is actually about a 20-minute drive from us. We find ourselves there maybe 3 to 4 times all the time. It's a place to take the dog for a walk. It's a place to take the kids for a walk. We are so familiar with that place that there's no reason to lie about it, right? If it was someone from production, okay, fine, rule it out. But the fact that, you know, you're talking 7 o'clock at night, no production, you're not allowed in the buildings, they are alarmed, it is decaying at some degree. How do you explain that? And even being a paranormal investigator, it is a tough one to explain.
That's
right?
kind of where the 3 photos or more come in, you know, aspect, try to debunk your own stuff. I mean,
That's right.
We've taken multiple photos and have been able to actually witness like an apparition appear through the photos, from what we think was an orb to, you know, disfigured body to a full face.
Wow.
Within 6, 7 photos, and then the 8, 9 photo, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you have you posted any of those pictures on your Instagram at all?
Oh yeah.
Yes, they're all on there.
Any findings we do have, and after we've kind of felt comfortable that it is not explainable, we post.
Okay.
And then obviously from there it's up for discussion if that's what people want to do.
The only thing we will not post or publicize is a home location if they're not okay with it. Privacy, you know, that's very important to us. So we won't post anything that's private to somebody, but anything else, I mean, you know, we're in a public place, so be it. You know,
unless, you know, they allow us in. We've had times we've been able to investigate something and the building itself doesn't want it posted. They don't want to be advertised as haunted. Okay, no problem. Still gonna capture footage, but it's for our personal use. Then
yeah, the one cool thing too with using that rule of 3, and by all means, if paranormal investigators are listening, and maybe they do things a bit different. If you decide to try our method of 3, method of 4, whatever it may be, as long as you're taking those photos, right? And you find something. Now, the other thing that we use is, if we're looking through photos and we see something that may be an apparition, could be a ghostly figure, it could be whatever it could be. The way that we treat it is, if you can't determine within 5 minutes of what you've captured, we automatically discard it. It's trash. We want to provide the best thing we can to prove paranormal. So, like you know, if it's not instant, if I have to sit there and zoom in and zoom out and it's taken 3 days, that's already too long. That's trash to me. I want something in the moment. Let's show these people what they're looking for. And that's something that we thrive for.
Good. That's good. How long does it do for each investigation? How long do you think you spend on looking through your everything that you've collected to finding actual stuff?
It varies. We can go say a day or 2, or it can go a week or 2.
Wow.
It just depends on, first off, how much video we've captured. Sometimes we capture 3-4 hours worth of video between the three of us, which takes forever. Pictures, often we're able to do it within the same evening.
It's hard to, like, you know, we all work a full-time job, because we all know this. We're not making bank doing paranormal.
Right.
And then we have our own lives, whether it be, you know, us with children, or sometimes we're just stuck working overtime. As much as we'd like to say, you know, we can have something given to you within a week, sometimes that varies, right? And there's not much we can really do about that.
Yeah, you still gotta live.
That's
you
right.
know?
Yeah.
You know.
We do focus though. If someone says, okay, we want the evidence, we're not invited to go, they want to see if it is paranormal, and they say, you know, we would like it by this date, we do ensure it is done by that date. Yeah, other than that, it's kind of either fast-paced or slow-paced.
That's funny. I had formed a question while you were talking and I forgot. So, what would you say would have been one of your most profound experiences before you started investigating that made you be like, that was like in the moment you were like, that's paranormal, not like, oh, that could have been paranormal or anything like that. Like, that's fucking some paranormal shit. Possibly even like scare something that's even maybe scared the shit out of you a little bit more than you would like to admit.
I think it comes down, well, I wouldn't say it's scary, but it was definitely a moment where you were like, okay, what the hell was that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you're kind of at home by yourself watching TV, or doing whatever it may be. And then you get like your mother's voice or someone's voice calling for you. And they're not deceased or nothing. They're just out living their life, and you're at home. Like, that's happened so many times where it's like you hear someone calling and you're like, okay, well, who was that? and you know, like, am I no longer at home by myself, or it's hard to determine, right?
I mean, I think for me though, we were moving out of one of our first places, and it had such a bad vibe, bad juju. He's crashed the night. There's been pictures that have swayed and moved. Can't explain. Like, this was probably before. Yeah, this was before we started paranormal investigating. I seen, I guess, a shadow man standing in my doorway. And it almost felt like that sleep paralysis. You know, you wake up, you can't move. I'm waking him up, like, what the hell?
Yeah,
He's
wicked
like, go
sense
back to
of
bed.
dread.
Yeah, he's like, you're crazy, go back to bed. We were about to move, so everything gets moved into the living room. Obviously, we're sleeping on our mattress in the living room so we can get out there the next day. And he wakes up and actually sees the shadow man standing over me.
Oh wow.
I woke up, you know, you get that tightness, like, what the hell is going on? And I think that's really what kind of, for me at least, it scared the crap out of me, where I was like, I want to figure this out. Like, it got to the point I contacted a paranormal team, and I was like, okay, there's like shit in my house. And then I chickened out thinking like, oh, I'm crazy. And then we were discussing, we can do it ourselves. Let's just open up our phones. Right?
It was weird though, because it's like, even though as much as she says, oh, I said she was crazy, go back to bed. But in the moment when you wake up and you see this guy standing beside you while you're trying to sleep, the feeling was like the Dementors from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like the room, everything got cold so fast. And I remember, like, you know, you got that drunk feel because you're half asleep and you're looking up at this dude, and then you're just putting the blankets over both of your heads. Like, okay, just go back to sleep. Like, forget about it, right?
But you know what? Even going to that apartment in particular spots, it just felt like you were being watched. You ever go somewhere on an investigation and you're like, oh, what was that? You know, you feel like you're being watched. You get the spine from your butt going up to the back of your neck. You got goosebumps. You feel like you're being watched. You turn around, there's nothing there. Just that the back of that place, it felt very dark, like they said, like even just going there to visit. you always felt like you weren't alone, even if you were.
Birds would appear in our apartment.
Yeah.
With windows and doors.
Yeah.
Closed. Not shitting you. We've had birds appear in our home with no windows and no doors open. We wake up and there's a freaking bird sitting on a picture frame. And you said, when did you
How
get
did
a bird?
you get it?
It made no sense at all. Like it was.
There's a lot of weird
place
stuff there.
needs a priest or something. It was not good.
Wow. That's
Oh.
crazy. So
That's-
I drive for a living, and I gotta go to this was one spot. It's like a sand and gravel spot. And it goes down this really long dirt road to a gate, and I have to get out and open the gate, and it's just it's a swamp on this side and nothing but woods on that side. And the minute I get out of the truck to open the gate, I just feel like something's watching me, and I'm always looking around as I'm doing it because it's still kind of dark. It's like four in the morning usually when I'm there, and I open the gate, I secure it open, and then as I'm walking to my truck, I'm just like, there's something, like I feel like something's coming up real quick behind me, and I'll jump into my truck as fast as I can. And I'll look out the window.
Turn on the light, they can't get you.
Yeah, and it's always that one spot. Like no other spot does this to me. And I'll shut the door, and I'm looking out the window, and I'll look around, and I'm like, there's nothing there. You didn't get me this time, whatever you were.
It's such a weird feeling though, like when eyes are watching you, but you can't see what type of eyes.
It really is. It really is. Sometimes I feel like maybe it's a Sasquatch.
Yeah, it should be. They're cloaking devices. You never know.
Yeah. So that is another question I like to ask investigators. Do you believe in any cryptids or like Sasquatch and anything like that?
I wouldn't say I don't believe,
Mm-hmm.
but personally, it's something that I haven't really followed that much to be enough. Like, let's go search for Sasquatch.
Or skinwalker.
Yeah, cryptids are really cool. That's something more that we're trying to lead into, right?
Yeah.
But here in Vancouver, there's a lot of there's folklore, which is kind of the same thing as cryptids, right?
Yep.
But there's not, I wouldn't say there's a ton, not enough really to keep my interest sparked on the idea. We have had an offer to work with a gentleman that's been on TV with finding Bigfoot. But with his schedule, with TV productions and stuff like that, it's hard to find the right timing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping for that to come alive and see how we can merge paranormal into Bigfoot and stuff like that.
But that's really the only cryptid in a sense we have down here. Is Bigfoot's really known down here. Right?
Yeah.
Bigfoot, the Ogopogo. I don't know if you guys heard of that.
For me, I've always been really into extraterrestrials, aliens.
Yep.
I'm heavy into that. Obviously, a paranormal team. It's hard to fit that kind of thing into it, but I do strongly believe in aliens. That would be my big thing.
Okay, so what the President Truman made a decree that he basically made a business deal with supposed terrestrials, or at least that's the conspiracy theory behind it. So in the right after World War II, there was supposed extraterrestrials. I don't know if you've heard of why is it escaping my brain? Operation High Jump with Admiral Byrd.
I have not.
All right, so that was supposedly the first time that the U.S. military had ever encountered aliens. We were in Antarctica doing because supposedly a lot of the Nazis escaped to Antarctica, and they had a base up there or whatever. So, and they were actually these like saucers were coming. The military, this pilot and Admiral Byrd are on record saying that these flying saucers were coming out of the ground.
Wow.
And they corralled their plane and brought them, and then basically told them that we can't fight them and win, is essentially. And so Truman wrote up like a thing to say that, you know, you can take some of our people here and there as long as you help us with technology. And then all of a sudden,
I have always believed in that. I have always believed that they have something that we want, being technology. We have something that they want and they need, whether it be people, maybe something in the earth. We don't know, but I've always said that. And the Honorable Paul Hellyer from Canada had gone on record at the House of Commons and admitted the existence of extraterrestrials. He admitted that the U.S. government, in particular, have been working with ETs for a very long time, and that there are several different breeds. Don't even get me excited about this. I won't shut up. But this is a never-ending topic. But to say the least, yes, I am a believer.
There has to be though. Like
You'd be
can't just
selfish.
say that
You'd be
we're
out
just
of an
here.
infinite galaxy. You'd be selfish and hypocritical to believe that we're the top of the food chain. We can't be alone in an infinite galaxy. It's not possible.
right. And there's so many different.
Exactly. And we have witnessed firsthand UFOs, and I kid you not.
You have you? Tell me this story. Please tell me this story.
We even called the police. You know what the police said
You
to us?
called the police.
We saw these UFOs flying around all weird. We called the police. You know what the police officer said to us while she was filming and taking photos? Oh, that's gotta be the Army doing some routine.
There's an air base.
Yeah,
there.
there's an air base.
Boy.
There's no air base near us. And the next day we saw Army, the troop carriers and F-1 fighter pilots going in the direction that we saw the UFOs.
No
and
shit.
the cops up there, that must be the Air Force. That should be photos. We saw what we saw. I know what we saw.
There's a picture to prove
There's
it.
a photo to prove it. Yeah. So yes, I would say we're definitely. But again, being a paranormal team, that's not exactly paranormal.
Even
But
paranormal, you have to believe that there's more than just us after
Absolutely.
death or even
Right.
in life. So you kind of, I mean, even with cryptids, have to be open to the idea of them being, whether it's
I
aliens or
agree.
monsters.
Absolutely. Personally, I don't believe in Bigfoot. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Absolutely. I think Sasquatch, just like Christy just said, I don't believe in that. It doesn't make it not real. It doesn't make it not true. Every year, there's different species being discovered, even in our ocean. Look at the goblin shark. We thought they had gone extinct back when the dinosaurs had gotten extinct. And a few years ago, now they're finding them off at the coast of Japan. So absolutely, just because one person doesn't believe something doesn't make it real. But by all means, prove me wrong. And like Mike said, if we can tie Bigfoot into the paranormal field, then awesome. Make me a believer of Bigfoot, then awesome.
Hey, are you into healing crystals? You should head on over to etsy.com/shop/heal with Christina and check out my friend Christina's sweet ass crystal shop. She's got a bunch of cool things in there. I was looking at it the other day, and most likely I will be purchasing some crystals. Just based, not because I'm fucking a spiritual bitch, just because I think they look pretty cool. Anyways, if you guys head on over there, she has items ready to ship, except for the crystal mushrooms. She makes those to order. Time is 1 to 3 business days, depending on the amount of orders. She currently has 28 different crystals and 3 different wire types. You can get on there. She has a whole bunch of crystal healing jewelry, homemade soy crystal candles, fun resin art pieces, and amazing handcrafted crystals. And if you go check it out and you decide that you like some shit and you decide to purchase some shit, you can enter the code, a coupon code, Weird 125. Almost fucked that up. Weird 125. That's a capital W. The 1 is spelt out just like in the podcast name, and then the 2 and the 5. So if you use Weird 125, you get 25% off your purchase of whatever you decide to get from her shop. And I really hope you do and support her shop. She does amazing things, and she's an amazing friend, and she's an amazing person. So check it out. There was a woman. There was a woman in Texas that shot a chupacabra, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's cool.
And she had him stuffed like a taxidermy and stuff like that, and went to a museum, and then somebody came in and took it, and now it's gone. So they're hiding I don't know if we won't get into who they is, but they came in and took it.
Yeah, they.
So,
but they just don't want us knowing what else is out there. I believe, let's keep that hush. We don't want a big panic.
Mass panic, exactly.
Yeah, mass panic. They don't want us to know. There's a lot of certain things that we can do physically with our spirit, like you open your third eye, the more spiritually enlightened you are, and the higher your vibration, and the higher your frequency is, the harder it is for them to keep you as a sheep, essentially. So they try to dumb you down with lower vibrational beings, so like demonic entities. So leading into that, have you guys have any experience with a demonic entity or something like?
Yep, we sure have.
We have actually had to make a call to a team that we are now kind of team sharing together. But what we experienced is demonic entities in our personal home, to the point where we reached out to a team for help to help us get rid of it. And it was manipulating our child to draw very dark images of people dying with blood.
He's 5.
He's 5 years old. He doesn't watch horror movies. It's something we keep him away from.
Mm-hmm.
And to watch a 5-year-old start drawing pictures of, oh look, this guy got his head chopped off, and the atmosphere,
so angry all the time. He was so angry.
Yeah, the atmosphere changed like overnight. It was from every weekend people wanting to come out and visit, whether it be family, friends, relatives, to those frequent people just disappearing from your life, not wanting to visit, no longer wanting to come by. They want you to go to them.
Or even leaving the house and you're okay, and coming home and you're like, oh, I don't want to be here. Like, you just get that.
Yeah, we were finding ourselves staying out longer, so that is pretty much going home and going to bed.
Okay. Did he seem different when you guys took him out of the house?
Yeah.
Like back to normal, essentially?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We wouldn't talk about weird things he was talking about. He was happy. He didn't throw his fits. And I mean, every child throws their temper tantrums. That's expected. But these were full-blown punching. Like, he doesn't do those kind of things. Like, he'll yell at you and storm away, but he's not going to kick and punch you and go. Like, it was to the point he was punching his door, hurting his hand. And we're like, what the hell's going on with this kid?
Wow.
And I think the waking point was, I actually woke up, that half daze where you're like awake, but you're still kind of sleeping.
Yep.
I heard this demonic voice that said, come here, you little shit. Excuse my language. I jumped out of bed. I was like, what the heck was that? Like, I heard it. And that night, the next day, we ended up talking, and that's where we got our friends involved, because we won't investigate our house, obviously, for the reasons of our children.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of sounds weird as paranormal investigators to reach out to someone else, but we can't deal per se with dark entities. We can say there's one here, And sure, you can sage your house, which we've tried, which that doesn't always work. It can make things stronger, more hectic, which it did. We had to throw our hands up and say enough is enough, because we're not going to continue like this. I don't know what's going to happen if we continue like this. We need our lives back.
Yes. So, have you guys been able to clear it?
Yeah, we have. We found out where it came from and kind of why it followed us as well. But it's also tied in with one of our investigations, which is where we picked it up from.
Okay.
We have the proof that said that it was going to take this one, which was indicating me. I was doing the Delco experiment. I got touched after it said that, fine, I'll take this one.
Mm-hmm.
My heart started pounding. I ripped the glasses off. All I seen through the glasses, I don't know if you've ever seen the Delco, but you wear these bright red glasses.
No, I've never seen that.
So it's like a part of the Estes, but you're wearing glasses instead of a blindfold, which is red. Kind of puts you in a trance in a sense. You're really focusing on this red. If a shadow walks by, you're able to see the shadow through the glasses. But really all you see is red through them. And at that time, it went black. And I yelled out, did the lights turn off? Like, am I supposed to be seeing black? And they're like, the lights are on. And no, that's not normal. And that's when all those voices came through and I just ripped it off. Phil was getting angry during the investigation.
Yeah, to the point where like we as a team, we don't operate. Typically, we don't antagonize. So there might be a location where we might believe we're talking to a soldier, for example, and we'll assert a little more dominance, but we're never disrespectful or antagonizing. Now, in this moment, I was angry. I was cussing at it. I was telling it to do something, swearing at it. It was getting angry to the point where it clearly affected Christy. It's just not how we operated. And of course, Mike ended it. We ended it, that session. But it was a very bizarre experience. And in that case, its threats clearly had come through, and it did what it said it was going to do.
Right.
And
so you think it affected you too, to the point where you were acting out of character
in that moment.
Yeah.
Her doing the Delco, and me, I believe I was making direct contact with it. I just didn't realize it in the moment. Everything was chaotic in that moment. And I felt also dragged in. Like Mike, a couple of times had tried to end it. I wanted to keep going, like do something, like you know what I mean? Like it was just a very chaotic experience.
You could feel it get very dark, like fast. We were just having a conversation and it just switched within seconds, and he felt it. I was feeling angry, sad, every freaking emotion imaginable. Sorry.
Oh, wow.
After we ripped those glasses off and I said, I'm done, I can't do it. We all decided, yeah, it's time to leave. And I guess it decided that it was going to join us in our home. So.
Lovely. Well, thank you for coming home with us. I appreciate it.
We thanked it very sincerely too.
I think as a result, as paranormal investigators, as silly as it sounds, words are powerful. So I think protecting yourself in certain ways, whether that be crystals or a prayer. For us, it's very important that when we're on an investigation, as silly as it might sound, we say, this is your home, this is where you stay, and we are leaving. There's a lot of power in and belief in what you say. I think words are weapons, words are powerful. So I think just saying that, maybe it just gives us a sense of safety. I think maybe if something really wanted to follow you, it would. But I think just saying, thank you for your time. This is where you stay. We will come back to have a conversation if you would like. I think that's important to close any session.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't at that time, right? We just literally packed up and booked it.
Yeah.
We did nothing. So.
Okay. I got you. So, There's this investigator out of South Florida that I spoke to on here, and she also um, ended a session really quick, and almost kind of like the same thing kind of happened where something followed her because she forgot to do her cleansing, and she had decided to, for whatever reason, out of character, lock her bedroom door when she went to bed, and the whole night she was getting the doorknob jingling, and her sister's boyfriend had gotten up in the middle of the night and saw a woman standing at her door, but he
Wow.
was like half asleep and was like, he didn't like acknowledge the person. He just went to the bathroom and then went back to the room, and then the next day, or like a week later, yeah, it was a week later, her sister was like, yeah, so and so said that, you're, why weren't you letting your friend back in your room that you had sleeping over? And she's like, I didn't have a friend sleeping over. And she's like, well, he saw a woman fucking on whatever the night it was. And she's like, shit. I didn't cleanse myself that night. She's like, oh shit, I gotta fucking cleanse. So basically the entity followed her home and was trying to get into her room, and she was not 100% sure what would have happened if her door had been unlocked that night. So
That's insane.
I thought that was pretty interesting to share with you guys, since you've had something come home with you as well.
Yeah,
Um,
that's wild.
yeah. So what is the prayer, or what is the cleansing method that you guys use?
A lot of the time is the Lord's Prayer. And if you're a paranormal investigator and you don't know the Lord's Prayer, you should learn it. Cleansing method is just, your typical cleanse. But really, it's gone to a point where if we truly, truly feel unsafe at a location, it takes a phone call for us to help clear darkness. And the same way we cleared our home is the same way we clear a location for ourselves to feel safe.
We also do carry certain stones with us as well. We have a friend that, I guess, it's like a healer. Maybe it's not the right word, but like that. She's made us bracelets to wear.
Like a white witch kind of thing?
Yeah, in a
Yeah.
sense. She's
Yeah.
very tuned with herself.
Okay.
So she's created bracelets for us to wear, as well as, told me kind of like a little prayer in a sense, what to say before and after, as a protection. So we've done that. We've tried many different methods,
Okay.
which have normally worked, which have worked, I should say.
Right. Right. Uh, so the other group that you had come in for this entity that followed you home, what was that process like? Was it like cleared right after the first session, or did they have to come back multiple times?
It took 35 minutes.
35 minutes. Oh, that's a lot shorter than I expected.
For him, it felt like it was cleared right away. Like you could see he was very relaxed. And same with my son. The next, because it happened at 10:30 at night. We called him and we're like, hey, are you awake? And he's like, let's do it now.
Yeah.
The kids were in bed sleeping. And the next day, my son woke up totally fine. There was no fits. He was drawing pictures a 5-year-old should be drawing again. For me, I had that feeling though that I was still being watched. And I don't know if it's because I heard it and it was there particularly, he followed me. Maybe it was just kind of in the back of my head. Yeah, no, this shit's not gone. But the house did settle down the next day.
It's
Perfect.
cool. It actually could benefit you. I feel that this team has a story to share for the world to hear, and I think you'd be interested. They run a podcast. They're based out of Hidden in the Shadows podcast.
Okay.
They also have a paranormal team. They're called Shadow Walker Paranormal, and the team is based off psychics and mediums. But the husband and wife of that team that helped us, Isaac, he is he is a shaman, but he's a shaman that you've never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
Typically your shaman that people pay for come to your house and they need crystal, they need prayer, they need a week's time. He doesn't need that. Isaac, all he needs is a phone call and your point of view of your house, your location. He is able to siphon energy through his hands. Being said, right hand is dark energy, left hand is good energy. And what happens is when his right hand charges, which would be your dark energy, he can actually pull that energy through the phone, through whatever method it is that you're using to contact him. And he then entraps it into a replica King Solomon ring, where it's locked away, banished forever. It's actually it's a very fascinating story.
I could tell you what the creature looked like, or demon or dark entity looked like, why it was there, and kind of what it wanted, if he can get that kind of information out of it. Obviously, dark entities don't always want to speak, or some in cases are jokesters, so we'll give you a different name. But
right,
oftentimes he can let you know what it was doing there, and why it was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite wild. It's I tell a lot of people when I bring up, because we use them on home investigations that we feel that are very dark and they need the help now. And the selling point for me is it's something that's hard to believe unless you're experiencing it.
That's true.
Once you go through that phone call, once we get that organized and he's there in the now, and you're taking him through your home or whatever it may be, and things are changing in that moment that you've already gone and spent thousands of dollars on and nothing's happened, and changes are happening over a phone call, is just phenomenal.
Well, we realized that, we were kind of like, okay, we're gonna try it, right? Like he said, it's hard to believe, but when you're out of options, let's shoot for it, right? What do you have to lose? And I tell you, when witnessing it, I mean, maybe I was a bit more skeptical than Mike. I really need to see stuff to believe it. That's my thing. And just witnessing what he did, how long it took, and just the house coming back together, I can't deny or even say what he does is bullshit, because it's real. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that have a lot of untapped potential that can do stuff like that, and it's crazy. I've had people talk to me through, just like you guys are, that have told me things about myself that nobody else knows. So, like,
That's wild.
I'm right there with you. Like, it's a profound experience. So, yeah, I mean, I'm so happy that he was able to help you guys. I mean, especially because I'm a father of two as well, so I have kids, and so that, like, and then anything that happens with children, it like affects me emotionally.
Yeah.
You
So
feel defeated, right? You're there to protect them, and how can you protect them with something you can't see?
exactly,
There was
exactly.
this one entity just standing over my son, and he pulled it, and we knew this thing obviously has been following him around the house. It's been creating his moods, his images, and it's just, how could you protect them when you don't know yourself, right?
Right, exactly, exactly. That's an experience that I hope that I never have to go through. So, I mean, my kids are teenagers now, so I mean, when it's a 5-year-old, it's even scarier. Because they can't articulate a lot of their experiences with you. So,
Our son's pretty good at that, though. He has the intuition, I guess you can say. So, he
okay,
comes to us with questions. Even after that, he realized himself there was a change in him. He comes,
okay.
you know what, I don't feel like drawing this anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
don't see it. So,
Do you think he shines a bit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You look at my son now from what we went through, and it's a regular child that wants to have fun.
Mhm.
Yes, he wants to draw pictures, but it's more like he wants to draw his favorite characters. He's into drawing Mario and Luigi. He wants to draw Spider-Man. He wants to trace his hands to make it look like he's shooting webs. It's a normal child,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
It's so remarkable to see. Like, we used Hidden in the Shadows there for a home investigation, and long story short, it was a child that was he has a gift, a psychic ability, but being 11 years old, you don't know how to close that door for channeling. It
Right.
got to the point where he was actually witnessing these spirits cut him open and showing him his insides as they were ripping it out of him.
Wow.
On a FaceTime call with Isaac and Megan and the child's mother, we witnessed his child fall to the floor and being unable to walk. So Isaac did his thing. Isaac scanned the child and actually pulled the demonic presence from the child, to where then in the moment you're witnessing this child stand up and say, "Okay, I'm ready for dinner now." Like nothing happened, just
Wow.
oblivious to what happened. He stands up and walks away to go get his jacket. He's ready to go for dinner.
Crazy.
Wow. That is mind blowing.
Yeah, yeah. It's so phenomenal to have a group of people out there that can do that.
Mhm.
Um, and truly, I stand by them 100%. It's my brother, my sister, and in my eyes, they're our family, and they will always be there with us. And if I can help have their voice be told across the world, and you never know, maybe someone like yourself or someone listening, another paranormal group who, yes, they have the right steps on making things better, but in the moment, maybe they just don't. Literally, all it takes is a text message, as in, "I need your help," and
Mhm.
take that phone call.
And
Right?
they're quick. They respond and they're there. I trust them 100% with whatever we pass their way.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. It's comforting to say,
Good.
you guys have that somebody that has your back in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's I feel I'm happy for you guys to have that you have them. I'm happy that they were able to help you with your son. So yeah, that's wild. I don't even know what else to say
Yeah. Yeah.
about that topic, but yeah, man, that is crazy. So I'm assuming, because this is also a question that I like to ask the investigators, but I'm gonna assume that you don't. Do you guys fuck with a Ouija board?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I would not. I mean, I have when I was younger, and I would never do that now, knowing what I know. I would
Yeah,
rather not. That's just bad juju right there.
I
I
right there
I
with
don't
you.
believe in the Ouija board myself.
You don't?
I don't. I know. I don't. I don't believe in it. But that's just because I've never had any kind of experience with it. I'm not
Okay.
knocking anybody down who has.
Mm-hmm.
I just personally, I don't believe it. I do believe the intent is real. I think maybe it could be used as a portal, as a piece of equipment per se, but I don't know. I I don't believe it myself. Now, do I use it with the intention of trying to conjure up something negative? Of course not. Do we
Mm-hmm.
use it on an investigation? Of course not.
Absolutely,
Absolutely not. But with that being said, personally, I don't
Okay.
believe in it.
All
not.
right.
I do.
There was a part of me at throughout certain times of my life where I was kind of like, I don't believe in it either. Personally, I've never have used it or even touched it. But I've heard not only from people in my personal life, but people throughout the internet that have had experiences to where they're not trying to get anything negative, but that's what they get. You know what I mean? So just those stories alone, I'm just like, man, you guys can fucking keep that shit in the store. And it's age is 8 and up, you know what I mean? So, and
They
they're
sell
like,
these Toys R Us for crying out loud. Like, are you
exactly,
crazy? I mean, people
exactly.
don't even know how to, if you're going to use the Ouija board, at least do your research and know what you're getting into and how to close the doors and how to open them, and just don't be stupid. A lot of people out there is just
Exactly.
like, let's have a beer and play with an Ouija board. And then the next day they're crying because their cupboards are opening. Well, no shit. Oh,
A lot of the stories I hear, this is how it starts. So it was when we were 13 and we were having a sleepover, and I was like, yep, yep. And then my friend was like, hey, I have a Ouija board. And then shit just fucking flew off the handle after that. And I'm like, what the?
It's it's a dangerous game, man. And
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Do you believe in demonic entities at all? Like, do you believe, or actually, that's not the question that I want to ask. Do you believe in portals at all?
Yeah, so that's why I say I believe there's the potential that it could perhaps be used as a portal to invite that. But I also think when we're out investigating, I also think there's a possibility that just by using the equipment we do and the voice, what we're doing, I think there's a potential that somehow a door or a portal could perhaps be opened, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when it comes to the Ouija board, I just don't know, man.
Yeah.
That's just my personal. I'm sorry.
I believe
Don't be sorry.
I believe that there's a doorway, portals, mirrors, Ouija boards. There's got to be a way to have dark entity to come into our space, and now us as paranormal investigators, we're there investigating a demonic presence or even something strong spiritually, right?
Yeah.
There has to be that leeway somewhere. But I think it also, going back to your Ouija board, is a lot of it has to do with intent.
Yeah.
You know, you go out there with a group of friends to a cemetery late at night, and what you're doing is you're disturbing the peace. You're out there, you're not respecting the dead, you're being loud, you're being obnoxious, you're demanding to hear something. You're gonna get what you ask for. I truly believe that.
well, it's no different than trying to do a seance, really.
That's right.
Right.
It goes hand in hand with the
It's
Ouija.
that's right. So I think no matter what, like, it all goes down to the yes and no game, using a pencil as a cross with yes and no's in the four corners, and getting something to respond to you using that object that you have now homemade. If that starts going batshit crazy, well, why? What are you doing for that to happen? This is supposed to be simply a yes and no game. It has now gone past that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's truly what happens when you start messing with the Ouija boards, right?
I think the invitation is real, like Mike said, going to a cemetery or something like that. I think the invitation is real. You want something, right?
Right.
But I think, like Mike said, a piece of paper and the X, I think it's more something's going to show itself or follow you. It is. I just don't think a bunch of people with their hands on a planchette. I think it's all psychological, whether or not you think you're not moving it. I think maybe a friend could be joking, or maybe you're moving it with your hands unknowingly. I think it's really psychological. I think if there is a presence that really wants to follow you, or a presence that really wants to come through a portal, I don't think it matters if it's a Ouija board or not. I think it will just do it. That's just me personally. I'm
Right.
sorry.
A couple of the investigators that I've talked to say that the spirit box is the same thing as a Ouija board.
I can see it could be.
Yeah,
So,
I can see that.
and they say when they shut the spirit box off, that they do the same thing that they would with a Ouija board, where they say goodbye.
Yeah, and I find that too. There's a lot of times where investigators will turn on a spirit box and kind of just go with the wind.
Yeah.
But if you were to take a step back and take a moment to actually open yourself up, especially while doing, say, the Estes method, you don't have to be psychic to do this, or a medium, or what. Just allow your body to open up, allow you to tune in with that one device. And I can guarantee you, if not promise you, your outcome on what you're going to receive through a spirit box is going to be much better than what you've previously caught.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's all about the white noise. Same thing with like back in the day when the TV channel used to end and you used to get that white noise, white screen.
Yep.
It's the same thing. That they say that can manipulate spirits coming through your television now and into your home, or vice versa. They can leave, they can enter. Yes, I agree. White noise, I think it's there. I think white noise is a major play within the paranormal.
Yep.
But so is using your intuition as well.
That's right.
Even not being a psychic or a medium, you still can come in tune and often determine if there is a spirit there or not, just by opening up.
Right. So, I feel like talking about it too, like talking about spirits and your experiences, also kind of like grabs attention from the other realm. So, if you guys ever get the chance to, I'm not telling you that I want you. Well, I do want you to, but if you ever get the chance to, you don't have to. Episode 11 of my podcast is with this gentleman named Ron from Indiana. And throughout that entire episode, there's voices in the background.
Wow.
And so he did it on his phone. Which it kind of looks like that's what you guys are on.
Yeah.
So he had his volume turned up so loud that I could hear my voice coming back through his microphone.
Oh wow.
So that's what I said in the beginning. I'm like, hey, you guys, just so you know that you get like little remnants of my voice through his microphone. And then people started messaging him and being like, hey, there's other voices. And then he starts texting me. He's like, there's other voices, and it's not yours or mine. I was like, no, your microphone's really loud. I was like, so it's just backfeeding my voice. I was like, so it sounds like me twice. And he's like, no, there's other voices in there. And I'm like, all right, well, let me check it out. And then I'm listening to it, and there's a part in it where I'm like, whatever I said, what the fuck? How did I say? Oh, I said, like I told you guys earlier, I was like, you don't know where there's so many unexplainable missing people and deaths and stuff. And right then, you hear a voice say, you should run.
Wow.
And like neither one of us said that. Like you can't even like form like not our word, like my voice coming back through his microphone, it wouldn't have said that. You know what I mean? So there's certain points. And my sister kind of sort of is my co-host. She hasn't done it with me for a while, but she's pregnant too. So I kind of like stopped asking her, because at a certain point she's like, I'm going to bed. And I'm like, go to bed. So yeah, she got a couple like timestamps where she could hear children laughing. There was one time where I was saying it was an insane asylum, and then you hear a voice go, dude. And then I was like, or whatever, it's a mental hospital or something like that or whatever. And then he goes, oh, well, that's better.
Weird.
Definitely gonna be listening to that after.
I have to like every time I listen to it, I sit there and I press my friggin' headphones to my ears.
Yeah, we got it ready to go.
Nice.
I'm very curious to hear
Nice.
that.
So and then I was talking to these two mediums. You guys don't have to listen to this one because it doesn't like you don't hear it come through, but there's this one point where we end up talking about Annabelle the doll, and my freaking phone Siri just pops up. I never say hey, I never say Siri, nothing. And it just pops up, and you know how sometimes you got the ball that's like got all the electricity, and then they'll give you like a little note underneath it. It said, that's not nice, is what it said. And I was like, what the fuck? So like there's been incidences where I've been talking to people um where something happens to me over here, and
Weird.
it's interesting. It's wicked interesting. So I think so basically that's the basic question that I guess it's not really a question because I think so, but I guess do you guys think just talking about experiences in the other realms kind of like opens the door to invite them into your presence?
Oh,
I think so. Yeah.
We've done some things like we got some friends in the UK and stuff. One friend has a haunted cabin actually in the backyard of his house, which he does his lives from, and he talks about to the spirits and stuff that come through, and we capture evidence on his lives.
Oh
And
wow.
what we've done is with Instagram, you're allowed up to 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 of his buddies will join, all from the UK. And then if I'm home on time or if it just works out, I love joining. These are my buddies. These are the guys that I have a group chat with, and we talk.
Yeah.
And in the moment while investigating, it was like, my buddy Mike would be investigating his cabin, and then something will happen down at Jamie's house.
Or I'll
And
get a
then
message from him because he picks up something and I'm not even in the chat. And he's like, oh, did this just happen? Because this came through and it indicated you. And you're like, well, I'm driving right now, but what the hell?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like and through the phone too, like there's times where like, Jamie would be like, okay, spirit, like if you're there and you want to truly prove yourself to us, go ahead and set off Mike's REM pod. And then where the REM pod will go off.
Or the
So,
guy's light will flicker in another house
Yeah.
while he's investigating a different house. It just is
Wow.
circulating around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We witnessed it.
I think it doesn't really matter. Like for instance, like if you were to go and investigate right now and give us a call and or a FaceTime or something, and as long as we're all communicating, obviously spirits can hear what we're saying. And it
Right.
might just be fortunate enough where they'll do what they're asked, right? We're asking for it. It doesn't matter if you're there in person or not. I think if they want to reply or they want to interact, I believe that they will prove that things like this will happen.
I
Mm-hmm.
do believe too that spirits can travel as well. That's just
Yes.
what I believe.
I think so too.
We own something that travels from home to home, which have been confirmed. So even so, like if there's a spirit, I don't know, in your home right now, and you're talking about it, I believe it could come here and start messing with us as well if it really wanted to.
Right. Right. I believe that
Yeah.
right, yeah, energy, and obviously talking about them through a device that needs energy to work.
Yeah.
They can not only manipulate it, but they can travel. I think they can travel through it. So I think they possibly could use power lines to even travel if they really wanted to.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So I pretty certain after talking to after a handful of mediums, I'm pretty certain that my great grandmother's just lives here. So there was the latest I'll tell you the latest incident that I've had. So I'm laying in my bed and my dog is behind me. I'm laying right on my side. My shirt's kind of like hiked up, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
my back is kind of exposed and I can feel my dog against like my back shoulder. And she's not moving, she's snoring, and then all of a sudden my shirt just starts pulling down.
Weird.
And I was kind of like in a paralysis where I was just like, what the fuck? And I didn't want to move, you know what I mean? So I just kind of laid there, let it happen. It didn't go all the way down, but it moved like probably about like that much down my back. And
Wow.
I was just I assumed it was my grandmother. So the mediums that I talked to, so it's a two. They were on a couple episodes ago. They also have a podcast called Lights at Midnight, and they talk about a lot of like their gifts and people that they helped and stuff like that. And they mentioned one of them mentioned my great grandmother, and I told them, I was like, well, my great grandmother. So this is the story that I get from my mom, that she really loved my eyes, and every time I was around, she would run her hands through my her fingers through my hair, and she's like, do you ever feel like something is in your hair? And I go, every once in a while when I'm laying in bed, I'll think there's a bug in my hair. And she goes, and I always touch my head, like, as I never really thought about it until she said this, and I'll like touch my head to feel if there's a bug, and there's nothing. And she's like, well, she is telling me that she's running her fingers through your hair.
Wow,
So I thought that was pretty interesting
that is pretty
too.
cool.
Have you guys, so other than the what was it, the Shadow Walker podcast people, other than them, have you ever spoken with a medium? I don't know if I asked you that question yet.
Well, we went out of our way, and we actually paid for a medium.
Okay.
And she was doing a reading with Christy, and
I've wanted to for years, but it's always crossed my mind with mediums, like,
yeah,
especially when you go in and you have to pay. They can tell you the basics and stuff
yeah,
that every common human will encounter or go through. So
mm-hmm.
it's kind of like a test, I guess. And I mean, I don't mean that to sound rude, because I do believe there's people out there that are very powerful in what they do, but
Yes.
I kind of wanted to test it, and holy crap, she blew my mind. That's all I gotta say. It was nuts.
That's awesome. Yeah. They sometimes when they hit on something and it's like spot on, and you're just like, how the fuck did you know that? Or and then they just start telling you, like, spouting off this stuff, and it's a profound experience, to say the least, for sure.
it really is. It's
Yeah.
an eye opener, really.
Yeah, they're so open to the other realm, and then you're like, and then being an with you guys being an investigators, it's just like, I feel like it's more of like a confirming, like, we not only are you guys finding stuff, but there is stuff out there. Like, obviously, there's more to life than just throwing a body in the ground. You know what I mean? There's
That's right.
something after it, for sure.
Well, when you walk into a psychic, she does your reading. We both witnessed something in her house, so we brought it up after the reading. She says, "You guys are investigators, aren't you? I seen it when you called." That's when I was like, "Okay, we gotta go, because this lady's gonna be like everything right now."
She was so spot on that I took a moment, and I pretty much asked her if she would be interested in coming along onto an investigation with us, because
Mhm.
we've never, during an investigation, that's something that we've never done. We've never brought a psychic with us and tell them absolutely zero information, just put them in the house or the location and be like, okay, let's go.
I mean, all the psychic and mediums we know are from the States, so
Yeah.
it's not like they're gonna plan a day to come here to do an investigation and go back home, right?
Right.
So
Right.
And yeah, she's actually all for it. It's just a matter of timing.
Right.
But yeah, it was an eye opener. It was a great experience on our end, to the point where, yeah, the offer was there for her to come out with us.
Nice. Nice. I'll be
Yeah.
looking forward to that then.
Yeah,
I would
I'm
assume that
hoping.
you guys get footage when she does, and
Oh yeah.
most likely we'll post it. So I'll be looking for that. Well, please, well, when you confirm her coming out, please, if you don't mind letting me know, so that I know that it's closer to coming
Yeah,
out.
I'll definitely let you know for sure.
So one of the closing questions that I like to ask, mainly the investigators, but I pretty much ask everybody. So, are you finding fulfillment in your life doing what you do?
I believe that for what we're doing and what we're posting evidence-wise is a great indication to prove that there is something else. And I know that science and the paranormal haven't always worked hand in hand. I know it's hard to change people from a non-believer to a believer, but it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
We are, we've taken without saying too much, because I can't, but taking a family that has lived their whole life under a certain religion and allowing us to come in to help with their home to the point now where they have taken their own religion and is now on a different spiritual path in believing that there's more to this world than what they grew up believing.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that, with the impact that we're making, the footprints that we're leaving behind has become an eye opener. And with all these other teams that support us as well as us supporting them, as long as all of us keep being combined as one, the paranormal world is just one big family. And as long as we keep pushing, we keep thriving, I think that one day our chance to shine will truly arise when that opportunity is welcome.
It is very fulfilling, just even home investigations, seeing people's lives kind of change, I guess, in a sense,
Yeah.
people at ease.
Mm-hmm.
And having those non-believers almost, second guess, maybe there is more than what we believe.
And I think the paranormal has, not to like toot our own horns or whatever, but we're not exactly the oldest people. Like we're fairly young. No, I'm not saying every team is older, but we're very young, and I think as a result, often we're not taken as serious until we do have that conversation. But I do believe that we've left, like Mike said, a nice imprint, and I like to believe that we've helped people too.
Yeah.
I like to believe that we've made some kind of impact in their lives and we've helped them out. That's important.
Nice being younger and having like the teams that have been doing it for 20 years reaching out to you, saying, hey, we captured this, what do you think it is, and having our outlook on it as well.
Yeah,
the one thing that I find that separates and what helps the unknown paranormal is the more we look into other teams, the more we search the globe into, because we're very strong into para-unity. We like reaching out to other teams and having a third eye on what we think is postable or something that we've caught. Hey, can we get your opinion? I'm so-and-so from this team. And slowly but surely it does come around and people are interested and they want to share the feedback. But being said is a lot of these teams, from what I can see, is, every weekend it's an event. They want you to purchase tickets, go to an event, experience a paranormal team doing either an investigation with your help or talking about the paranormal. Where with us, we've never done that.
Mm-hmm.
We
don't really need to, I find. Like, I'm not trying to sound rude, but if we don't have a location set up, like, it is very tough out here in Vancouver because everything is plus money.
Or there's teams from here that this is my location and you're not allowed.
It's very territorial.
Yeah. Really?
It's very bad. There's a couple teams out here that if you even try to contact a place, it's nope, don't even try, get lost. So
wow, that's
to the
ridiculous.
point where they can actually
like blacklist you almost from places, or if you get into
some people are very petty. Is what I'll say. We're not gonna be the team to name another team on that, but it is very territorial here.
Well, getting into a location and having another team say, well, that's in our zone. Your name isn't written on the building, on the place.
There's no contract. This isn't some kind of gang thing, like, calm down.
Yeah.
And that's why we do believe in para-unity,
And that's the thing is, as much as we'd like to chase every weekend to have a location booked to investigate, we actually spend a lot of our time is going to the cemetery, researching. Like we're working a case right now that is one of Vancouver's unsolved mysteries, and it's a case of Janet Smith, a story that I've told on other podcasts and stuff like this. But I find that as long as we're out there doing what we do and evidence is being proven, and we can post that. There's no other reason why it shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You get a group, you get 30 people into a building, everybody wants to film, everybody wants to take photos. It's date night Friday, we're with this team, and you catch a piece of evidence that could be an orb or an apparition or a light anomaly. That's 30 more people you have to take into consideration of, well, what is this light really from?
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's being announced or not, we don't know. But we're a team of 3. It's 10 o'clock at night in a cemetery where there's no one around. And I show you a picture of a woman walking across the graveyard that is see-through. Well, now it's up to you, right?
Yep. That is crazy that there's territorial other groups out there though. So
it's very bad.
So all the other groups, just like you guys, they preach para-unity every time I talk to them, and through Instagram, I'm sure you guys see it too. Like there was actually a para-unity day not too long ago, right? Like it was
right.
this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah, every single paranormal group that I have on Instagram were posting about it, and they were tagging other groups and just showcasing other people's stuff, because it's not anybody's, it's not one person's game. It's the evidence is for everybody to learn from. It's not just for one specific person or one specific group, you know what I mean?
It
So
shouldn't be a competition, as a lot of people down here is kind of making it seem like.
yeah,
we're all trying to prove the same thing, that there is life, for say, after death. There is other things in this world. And then you to lock down or whatever it is you're going to be, well, what's the point? Let's all just chat and hang out and do what we all love to do, and well, we're posting about, right?
right. So there was this fucking happens to me all the freaking time. This is the second time it's happened to me just on this one, where I've had a question and then I forget it. So what is next for you guys? Where are you guys going next? What's the plan for the future? What is the next investigation for you guys?
Yeah, we have an investigation coming up on the 21st, but what we're doing is we are taking local teams and we are merging, and we're going to be heading to Overland Mansion, which is one of Vancouver's most haunted locations.
Oh wow!
So one, we've never been there,
Mm-hmm.
but the other team has. So with us is, even though it's para-unity, I expect people to come on and debunk our findings, as well as I would expect them to think that we're out there doing the same thing. Of course, I'm going to look at your photos and video and try to disprove. Like, that's just what paranormal is.
Yeah.
But the way it sounds is we're going to have some believers of the paranormal join us, not team related or nothing, just friends of groups that are going to tag along. So in a sense, I guess it will be kind of an event, investigation, mix and mingle type
we'll
thing.
Have historians,
yeah,
people like that there, and not necessarily people that actually investigate, but people that research buildings and the history behind it.
But I think the biggest thing we have in store, I think, is for anybody on social media that knows us listening and stuff like that, is one of the biggest things is we're going to start traveling into the States, Seattle, Oregon. 305 Paranormal really want us to come down to Florida and stuff like that. So
that's a long way for you.
Yeah, but it comes with the budget.
It's worth
and
it.
You know what? To hang out with a good group of people that we respect and we talk to pretty much on the daily, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah.
But it also opens up the door for us to keep pushing, to keep thriving, and just keep retaining and gaining evidence of what people are looking for.
Nice. So I have never gone on an actual investigation before. So my kids and I decided that we were going to go before I even really got heavy into doing this podcast, that we were going to go to Miami in October. So I have talked since then, talked to a couple groups out of Florida. So one of my first investigations will be with 305. So
That's awesome.
I'm excited
That's
to do
pretty
that.
cool.
And Black Smoke, I think, is gonna join too. So
Black Smoke
Nice.
is a good group, man. You'll
Yeah.
enjoy it.
yeah, I hope
think
so.
I think if you're fortunate too, if you have the time, aside from investigating with 305 and Black Smoke, I think their big group, War Party Paranormal, I think they host some really good events as well.
Yeah.
Where they talk about the Delco and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
if you have time, definitely check one of those out. I think you'll really enjoy that too.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
putting that in my mind.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the time that I have. It's getting close to midnight for me. Um
Boy.
Well, thank
so
you for having us.
Sorry to
no,
keep you up.
I absolutely appreciate you guys taking the time to come on, because without people like you, I'd just be talking to myself. So
Nothing wrong with that.
And we talk to spirits, so we're
I'll be
Talk to
honest. I'll
air.
be honest. When I'm driving in my truck, I do talk to myself. Sometimes I might answer. Sometimes I don't. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of the lytics in trucks. They have these cameras sitting on your windshield, and they'll record in front of you like a dash cam, but they'll record your where you're going, and they'll record you in the cab. Well, and they got me speeding the other day, and I was singing my fucking head off. And so that happened to be the little clip, and he's showing it to me, and he goes, "Oh wow, you're a good singer." And I'm like, "Oh my god."
That's
So
awesome.
I just it was
I would have been
funny.
like, that's not worth a ticket then, right, bud?
Yeah. So before I decide to stop recording, this will be the last question I ask you. Any advice for, I know you gave a little bit in the beginning, but any advice for somebody starting out?
If you're brand new and you're wanting to get into the paranormal, the one thing I tell everybody is, as long as you're determined and to have a fighting chance, just shoot for the stars. Set yourself a high limit. Be respectful, care for everybody, and admire those who have been there longer than you.
And treat it like in a sense, like a business, right? Like what you would see your business, treat it like that. Don't go slander everything, because that's just gonna slander your name. Be respectful. You got it.
And can also consider the history behind the location where you're at. You can go to a cemetery, as simple as that is. Go to a cemetery, but what's the history behind that cemetery? Maybe maybe it's a really old one.
Yeah.
History is very important doing what we do, I think.
I agree with you. I agree. So anyways, that is the show, guys. If you want to be on the show, talk about what many things weird, demonic. If you're an investigator and you'd like to talk about your experiences and things that you've captured, hit me up at wheretheweirdonesare@gmail.com. Instagram is where_the_weird_ones_are. Also, I implore you to follow the unknown paranormal on Instagram as well. But I'll give you guys a chance to just plug all your socials and whatnot that you would like people to go check out real quick.
One quick second. I'll let Christy start.
You can find us on Instagram, obviously, at The Unknown Paranormal. If you want to review any of our videos, we post it on YouTube at The Unknown Paranormal. We also have TikTok, which is
Unknown Paranormal BC. For TikTok. 1 second. 1 second. I apologize.
Okay.
and Facebook at the Unknown Paranormal BC as well.
And yeah, the Unknown Paranormal on Instagram, like Christy said. Facebook would be the Unknown Paranormal. Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. All right.
Yeah, I
Cool
mean,
beans.
yeah, pretty much.
You can find everything.
All
on
the
our
links are
Instagram.
all the links are on the Instagram page.
Do
Basically.
you have a link tree on there?
Yes.
All right, cool. So if you guys are following my Instagram, you can definitely find the Unknown Paranormal on there. Or you could just search them. It doesn't matter. But you can find all their other stuff. Definitely go to their YouTube and check out their findings. I'm gonna do that probably right after this. I'll at least subscribe so that I can get their videos. So thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. Like I said, if people like you didn't come on, I'd just be talking to myself.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.
Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky. When the stars are strung across the velvety night, and when a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day, make a wish.